How you doing today? Happy Friday. Hopefully you are starting your festivities for this long holiday weekend. And I know that tomorrow we're going to start digging in and doing some prepping, but I love Easter time. It's just such a great time to celebrate with family and so many blessings that we're celebrating through Easter. So I hope that all of you have a really happy Easter. Hopefully get some good family time and maybe some chocolate, maybe some Easter egg hunting. I remember one of the funnest Easter egg hunts I took my kids on was out in Oakland County, and they brought in a helicopter that was dropping from the helicopter eggs and chocolates and stuff. They dropped it from far away, and then the kids could see it all falling from the sky, and then they went running out like little maniacs. It was so much fun. But my kids are bigger now, so finding other things to entertain me and get a little bit of satisfaction is important. And that is one of the things I want to talk to you about. One of my passions is working with different nonprofits and helping them achieve their goals. And typically, their goals benefit our communities. So if you're with me live, let me know that you are here with me live. And I'd love to know from you, who are some of your favorite nonprofits that you believe in, that their mission is important to you? I would love to know from you. So drop it in the comments if you're with me. Now, I remember when I was in high school, I actually went to an all-girls Catholic high school, Marion. So any of you that are from Birmingham, Michigan, shout out to you. Whoop, whoop. But one of the requirements that they had is you had to do a certain number of volunteer hours, and I never quite got that. I didn't understand it. Hey, David, how you doing? Try to get your comment up there. Hey, happy Friday, my friend. So in high school, they required we do a certain number of volunteer hours, and I didn't get it. Like, what was the point of this? You know, we do things, through church or whatever. And then in college, it was the same thing of coordinating with different nonprofits. And again, I didn't get it. I didn't get it till I was much older. I understood the Good Samaritan part, but I didn't understand this connection between business and nonprofits. And as I got older, especially in the state of Michigan, I really did get it, because a lot of these work hand in hand. And if you can find the right nonprofits that you believe in, there are powerful strategies that you can use that can help you build alliances that are incredibly strong, and at the same time serve your community in a really unique way. And you may have multiple nonprofits that you believe in, organizations that are trying to do good and make this world a little bit better. If that's the case, kudos to you. That's wonderful. Now, through my work, I've had an opportunity to work with some amazing nonprofits, some of them that are nationally recognized, some of them that are local, and each of them have a unique gift that they bring to others and to serve. And I could list off so many, including like Flint Institute of Music, United Way, Flint Institute of Arts, Flint Shelter of Flint, My Brother's Keeper. There's so many that are incredible. But for today, I want to share with you a particular nonprofit that is really near and dear to my heart, and I'm going to share a little bit of a story with you. I'll spit it out. The nonprofit I'm thinking of is Hurley's Breast Cancer Navigator Program, and what that program does is all of the proceeds come in, and it benefits local women that are right here in the county that I live in, Genesee County. And it helps them get through this healing portion of undergoing breast cancer and, the chemo and the reconstruction. And that whole journey can be very hard, where you might have to take time off work, which can make it difficult to pay your mortgage, pay your car note, get food, be able to pay for the additional medical expenses that you're going to be paying with co-pays, being able to pay a consumer bill, being able to survive. And one of the things that was happening with a lot of women in our community is they were returning to work prior to when they really should have for recovery. The problem with that is it created more problems of tears and all sorts of difficulties that don't even have to be mentioned here. But if they would have had the right support, the right resources, they may have been able to avoid some of these difficulties. And imagine battling cancer and at the same time trying to decide between, do I pay for my prescription or do I buy food for my family? Now, a lot of times families that fall under this category typically are working families that are already stretched to the nines. They might have insurance from their work, but it might not be covering all these other excessive bills. And it's like the black zone. It's the gray zone of not being rich enough to be able to dish out, $200,000 and not work, but not being poor enough to fall under like Medicaid where everything's taken care of and you're kind of set. Even in those situations, there's difficulties, but this middle spot is a very dark spot where a lot of families can get thrown into bankruptcy, homelessness, not being able to finish their treatment. And the unique thing about the Hurley Breast Cancer Navigator Program is when they do this fundraiser every year. See the shirt that I have? It's called Pink Night Palooza. And it didn't start off as Pink Night Palooza. We'll talk about that a little bit later too if we have time. But it started off as a fundraiser, and the hospital, this is the thing, it's really freaking cool. All of the donations, 100% of the donations go to fund this program for these families that are battling breast cancer. So they're not taking out administrative fees. They're not putting it into, research somewhere down the road of something you don't know that's going to happen. All of the money from this particular event goes and it funds local people that are right in the midst of a battle. And I do want to clarify, breast cancer is something that does affect women and men. It's kind of like an unknown thing, but it's truthful. Obviously, significantly less with men, but it's real. I've seen the cases. I've witnessed as families that have, rebound from all walks of life. So I think it's important for us to remember, doing our breast check exams and also mentally being open to the truth that not only women are facing breast cancer. And in fact, when someone in a family undergoes any kind of medical crisis, breast cancer or whatever, the whole family is impacted emotionally, financially. It's very, very draining. And this was a road that I walked down for almost a decade with not just breast cancer. It wasn't the breast cancer, it was multiple ailments, but it was a road that I walked down as a caregiver with people that I love very, very much. And understanding when you get down that road of not having those resources, the implications it can have on a family are devastating. And I think it's important for us to all start talking about that. David wrote, I support National MS Society and the National Cirrhosis Foundation and Crohn's Foundation. My wife is a member of the Rotary International. Sorry about that. The font's really, it's hidden behind my camera, so I hope I got it all out there. That's great, David. I love that you found a place that you can support that calls to your home, that calls to your heart. And I think that so many of us, if we just took a step back to realize how little things can become really, really big, especially when they're compounded by multiple people doing it. So for this particular, task for today for our Creators 30-Day Challenge, the idea was to talk about a nonprofit that calls to your heart. And one of the things that I'm hoping through like this whole 30 days that we're working out all these lessons is you realize how little things that you do, whether it's a post, a video, anything that you're sharing on your page can be beneficial to others. So for instance, giving a shout out to different nonprofits, commenting on their content, engaging, if you can go to events that are in person, if you can make a small donation, $5 when you have 1,000 people donating $5 adds up really quick and it compounds. So never think for 1 minute that what you're doing doesn't matter, and it does. And I'm going to share a story with you that is a little bit interesting. Is originally there was a organization that was raising funds, and they found out that the person that was hosting the fundraiser, they were taking like 98% of the funds and sending it out to another state. Now, if you know Michigan, you know Flint, there's been a lot of devastation in the city, so the city needs as much support as it can possibly get. And in this particular case, I was approached by somebody from upper management of, trying to come up with solutions. And I said, well, why don't you just do it yourself? Why don't you just bring it back? Do it yourself in a house, organize it. I'll help you organize it. And the pretense that you put on there is support local nonprofits that benefit our local community. And this became a tagline that I went through on a rampage for probably about 4 months with hashtags and targeting. And it did create a little bit of buzz. It did make a lot of people mad, made them very mad that I did that. But the question couldn't be answered, are those funds serving local people? And I think as people started to realize this, there became this approach of wanting to become more supportive of this nonprofit that was supporting local people at 100% versus sending it someplace where only 2% of the funds stayed in our community. That was probably a moment of pride that I had, although it kind of goes unnoted, but that's okay because I know that significant change happened starting from, one, an idea someone had to fix something, and then two, going on a rampage of support local, support local, support local, and it worked. And the impact has been literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, and not just me, I'm just saying, I helped flip that narrative. And since then, I've been able to be involved with multiple nonprofit organizations, even before that, nonprofit organizations, helping them raise funds, raise awareness, and even make their events a little bit more exciting. And I think that's one of the things that I've loved about my position of being able to do that. A lot of times when you are an event marketing person or coordinator, a lot of these great ideas will stem from you and then they'll bloom through other people. So it is important to make sure that while you're supporting nonprofits, you give your best and you give it your all, but maybe don't become too emotionally attached to it so that it doesn't break your heart when it starts going in another direction. But ultimately, my purpose of owning my business is to serve others and to help. And walking through faith, I hope that I can try to do some things to make my community a little bit better. And I know that you guys can too. So the reason why I'm sharing this story with you is I want you to know, if you're in a situation where you feel like you can't donate, you can't volunteer, I want to let you know you can be an advocate through posting, through engagement, through sharing awareness. And these things are absolutely key because it helps build momentum and create a buzz. And through that, you have the ability to make significant changes. And I think this will be something that I look back on much further down my road with maybe even another perspective. But I know that ultimately that whole shift started with one conversation that was in a hallway where someone was afraid to make a change, and I helped make that encouragement. And then I pounced on social media with buy or support local, and it did. I will tell you, when I did do that, there was a particular. There's a couple businesses that didn't like that I did it. They didn't like it. So, word caution. I'm learning, even at 50, there's all kinds of little political things there. But on a positive note, these alliances can help you and they can help your community. Another one that I do want to share with you really quick is Eastern Food Bank of Michigan is a fantastic organization that not only do they serve right into Flint, but they go along the whole east coast of Michigan, helping fill pantries, and they've done an amazing job coordinating efforts with local grocery stations and being able to use some of the excess food that they have to serve our communities. Now, for me, one of the things that happened is when I moved my agency, I had a studio downtown, and when I moved that studio, this was after we were going through a lot of life turmoil and a lot of people that had been passing away. So I was making adjustments. So the short of it, I had all of these different like file cabinets and furniture and supplies where I wasn't going to need it anymore because we were moving to a new spot and some of these things I didn't need. And I had posted some stuff online. I had a lot of people that were buying, some of the merchandise and display cases that we had. And then Food Bank came and they actually purchased some stuff. But then it was like, okay, you know what? We're at the end of this here, this little excursion here. Let's make some donations to Food Bank. And I ended up doing a lot. They had to bring a semi to my studio, literally. But I ended up donating a lot of the stuff that I had in my studio that wasn't going to serve a purpose, but it could help them with some of the things they were doing. Some of it was like administrative office supplies, and some of it was more like for event sort of stuff. But it was incredible. They made a small purchase and then I donated about 1,000 times more than that to them. And what I loved about that is, again, it's a reminder that sometimes when we're serving nonprofits and helping them with their endeavor, sometimes it comes in a different format versus monetary or time-wise. Word of caution that I will say to you, one thing, if you can make monetary donations, often nonprofits are able to like 10x that donation, meaning if you make a monetary donation and they have to purchase supplies, they'll be able to buy sometimes like 10 times more than you can with your dollar because they do have the advantage of that nonprofit status and then also different packages that other corporations will bundle with them for creating success. Okay, I'm going to tell you one more, because I could go on and on. I know a lot of nonprofits. There's 432 nonprofits just in my county. I know, isn't it crazy? But I've got to tell you one more nonprofit that literally pours on my heart, and it starts with one of the founder. Well, he wasn't a founder, but a key player of the nonprofit. And he unfortunately has passed away. His name was Chris Hamilton. He was one of my heroes, one of my true heroes. He understood life and he understood different ways of helping people. And he represented a group that was called Old Newsboys. The beautiful thing about Old Newsboys is they make sure that no child goes left forgotten. And that includes at Christmas time, making sure that each child that comes in, they have access to one of these gift boxes, which is usually like sweatpants and pajamas and a toothbrush and clean underwear. The necessities that many of us take for granted that some children in our community do not have access to. They don't. Some of them don't have a toothbrush. Some of them don't have socks. And these care packages provided a way of giving the bare necessities along with a toy and a goodie. But he ended up even getting to the point where he orchestrated moving into this one building, and it had this big conveyor belt that went around, kind of like what you'd see in the dry cleaners. And he worked with different organizations or companies like Kohl's and Burlington, all these different companies that had excess inventory of winter coats. And the short of it is getting them in to donate coats and then being able to see these kids, experience what it felt like to get a brand new coat. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So I was super honored when my oldest kid decided he was going to go and volunteer at Old Newsboys 2 summers ago, and he was stuffing those boxes. And my kid had an epiphany because I think he had stuff. It was something like 5,000 boxes worth of like socks and toothbrushes and stuff. And he came home one day and he said, I can't understand that. How are there that many people that need a toothbrush and socks? I don't believe it. And I said, well, you need to believe it because in the next couple months, Christmas time is going to be coming up. You're going to see them coming in. You're going to hear people making their little pilgrimage there to try to get these basic necessities. And anyhow, so I think it was a wake-up call for him. Now, one of the stories that Chris shared with me, and this will be the last thing that I share with you, is it was on one particular Christmas Eve. A lot of times when people need help, there's a sense of shame that they don't want to ask for it, that they feel just shameful. And there's this one particular lady that came in on Christmas Eve. It was like at the end, everybody's going home. And I think she got there by, I don't know, bus or something like that. And she walks in, she has a couple kids. One kid is in a baby carrier. And she was asking for some help to try to get some toys or something for her kids for Christmas. So Chris assessed the situation, and as he explained it, he knew that it was pretty dire. He could tell by the way that the lady appeared and the kids. And he said, okay, we're going to get you taken care of. And he ended up connecting with some people. Chris was the ultimate networker of networkers throughout this whole town. He was amazing. But anyhow, he ended up coordinating, and he arranged to get a Christmas tree and some clothes and some toys for the kids. And she didn't have a ride home, so he made arrangements, got her back home with the kids. And he found out later on, like, the kid that was in the car seat was like malnourished and was over a year old, and the car seat that the kid was in was not like the right size. It was for an infant, but he should have had a bigger size or something like that. It was old and outdated. So anyhow, makes arrangements, drives her and the kids back to the house. He's got a tree, he's got some toys, and then he walks in and he realizes the lady didn't have a refrigerator, she didn't have a stove, and there was no food in the house. This is a true story. So on Christmas Eve, he ends up making some contacts with some of the people that he knows through different corporations, and he was able to get a little stove and refrigerator delivered and set up at that house. They came in, they set up the Christmas tree, they got everything, sort of organized. And I think about how, if he wouldn't have noticed, I think this was his gift, is he noticed when people were distressed. If he wouldn't have noticed, how far down that rabbit hole would that family have gone, that mother and those two kids. So fortunately, he was able to get that set up for Christmas Eve, give them a little bit of hope, get a little bit of love of Jesus in there. But then he also ended up getting them connected with long-term resources so that they could get on a proper track. So I say that to you, that man actually did that after retirement, and he was a passionate person, and I'm grateful that I ran into him, because it made me realize sometimes how we can overlook our blessings of the basic things that we have. And I just want to encourage you, while you are blessed, whether it's just a little or a lot, do what you can do to support your nonprofit. Don't ever think for 1 minute that it's insignificant, whether it's new toothbrushes that you donate, or socks, or some time, or ideas, or being a warrior online focused on sharing goodness with others and encouraging people to make a change, to support nonprofits that you believe in. Do it, because you can make a difference. Stop looking for Big Brother and other people to make the difference. They typically make it worse, but you can make it better, and especially when you align with the right nonprofits. So do your part, make it something beautiful that you're proud of, and linger in all that goodness. So I kind of went on a rant for a little bit, but I am very passionate about many nonprofits, and I love being able to serve and do what little parts that I can. And, I'm running out that way. Fantastic. Thank you, David. It is kind of good news to hear that good news. All right. So I wish all of you just an amazing Easter holiday. We're going to have a little bit of fun, but you guys take good care of yourself. Be good. Be happy. And most definitely, be blessed. Bye, guys.